in many parts of the world, I would say in most parts of the world, there is less glorification of war and violence. And war and violence is not considered to be the first choice or an appropriate or glorious choice for dealing with conflict, but it's rather seen as something to avoid and maybe as a last resort. And that change is extremely important, I think, for understanding why the levels of violence are generally going down across the globe. And this has to do, I think, and there's research supporting this, this has to do with changing conceptions of masculinity, of what it means to be a man, of manliness. Because men have had and still have more political power and more decision power over using violence, over going to war. And when men consider violence appropriate and even necessary for them to preserve and gain status, then war will be considered manly and glorious and a natural way of achieving domination. But when definitions or our understanding of what it means to be a real man, our understanding of manliness changes so that men do not gain status and precedence from being imposing and dominant and violent, then equality between men and women will benefit, and there will be less violence in society. So we can compare, for example, in the beginning of the 20th century, before the First World War, and the outbreak of the First World War, how people celebrated war and thought that finally this is a great opportunity to show how manly we are and the greatness of our nation, and we will purify our nation in the bloodbath. Today, of course, that would seem insane for most people, and we view war as something we really don't want to go into lightly. Maybe something that we can do for self-defense or as a last resort or in connection with peacekeeping missions, but not as a natural or glorious way of executing foreign policy.